This was Dave Filoni's first directorial debut for live action, and I think he did a freaking knockout job. And I want him to be president of Lucasfilm. Alright guys, well the episode 1 of The Mandalorian has finally aired, and I'm going to go through and give my thoughts and opinions on it. I liked it. From the get-go, I liked it. I thought it showed a lot of promise for where this story could go. It felt like more classic Star Wars to me. It had that grittiness, I think, that has been lacking in some of the Disney material that's come out. Rogue One had some of that for sure, but other than that, I think this just felt like more OG Star Wars. I like the fact that they had some aliens that we're familiar with. It had that familiarity that I think we're lacking in the sequel trilogy. Even though the sequel trilogy has the original characters, for some reason it just doesn't feel like Star Wars or the original Star Wars. It doesn't have that vibe. The prequels had a different vibe to it, but it did feel like Star Wars. But I think that's because Lucas, created it. It was the storytelling that felt, I guess, most similar to Star Wars, at least the overall storytelling, the character arcs and such. But yeah, The Mandalorian definitely had that feel and vibe of old Star Wars. I think from the opening shot where you see this kind of gunslinger walking into the saloon, it had a very Western vibe, which I think fits perfectly for this kind of show, like a bounty hunter show. The music was great. I really liked the fact that the music has a different tone. It sounds like Star Wars, but it also sounds like something that's new. It has elements of that Western sort of sound to it, that old West vibe, but yet it still does feel like Star Wars. So I think they did a really good job with the music so far. It opens up with a great action sequence where you know right off the bat who this Mandalorian is. He is not a guy that you mess around with. You think he's kind of helping this alien out, and then you find out no, he's just after a bounty, and that's a nice twist. I mean, that's obviously where they were going to take that scene, and it fit. There's going to be spoilers, so if you don't want to know, then watch the episode first and then come back and watch this. But yeah, he shoots the door and closes it on the guy's torso, cuts him in half. Pretty impressive. They show right away they're not pulling any punches with this character. So you know what you're getting right from the front. And I think that's a really good idea. I think that's what they need to do. They need to show you that they need to make up for the fact that, hey, this guy's shooting first. This isn't Han, the special edition version. This guy's shooting first. The alien that he was capturing was a little cheesy. That was the only thing that felt a little Disney-fied. Not too much, though. It wasn't bad. I get the character. He was kind of the slick talking, try to get out of anything, But some of the lines, kind of one-liner things, it did seem a little cheesy to me, but nothing that would, make me apprehensive of the writing overall. I think it was still a strong story. So, it's not a major thing. It was just one thing I noticed. I thought, this character is a little, doesn't really fit the vibe completely. But again, it's nothing that I would consider as a strike against it. It's just a little note that I would say, I noticed while watching it. That's all. I thought the ice monster was very cool. I like the fact that the Mando uses his prodded rifle to zap the thing and electrocute it and get it off of his release the ship from his clutches so he can get away. That was a nice little touch. It also shows that he's not a guy that's not going to get his hands dirty. Like, he's taking on this huge monster, and he goes and cattle prongs it. So that was pretty cool too. I thought that was a nice little character moment that shows hey, this guy's he's willing to get down and dirty with, it doesn't matter. Size doesn't matter. And of course, you've got the scene in the ship where Mando is letting his prisoner kind of roam free to use the bathroom. I mean, he had a good reason, right? And then he sticks him in the carbonite and freezes him when he feels that this alien's, he's thinking he's real slick and he's I guess going to get the jump on the Mandalorian. But of course, that does not happen, and he sticks him in the carbonite and freezes him. And you see, like, there's other victims or bounties that he has caught, and he has frozen them all in carbonite. I guess things have sort of progressed from Empire Strikes Back, because this takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and he's got a freezing chamber in his ship. So, from where Empire was, where they were kind of just testing it out on Solo, they now have made this thing mobile, and now it's in a ship. But that's believable because look at the technology we've had in the last 5, 6, say 7 years. It's definitely within the realm of possibility that they have perfected this thing to be able to take on ships, especially once the Empire figured out it works. I mean, of course they're gonna find ways to mass produce this and install it on probably a lot of ships, and it makes sense that they would do that. It's like this ties into the original trilogy in a way that makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, they would have this on their ships because of course the Empire would make it, a necessity to for every bounty hunter to have this because it works. So like it makes sense in a storytelling point of view. I like that they added that in there, and that it's like a little more advanced now. I thought that was a great moment. And then you see him with Carl Weathers at the Bounty Hunters, I guess, guild. Well, he's not at a guild. He's just meeting with Carl Weathers. And he's paying him for his bounty. And there's this nice little moment where he gives him Imperial credits. And the Mandalorian says, I don't know if you've heard, but the Empire's gone. And that's a nice little... It lets you know where you're at in the timeline, right? So the Empire's fallen, and now credits aren't exactly worth what they were worth before. So I thought that was a nice little detail as well that they added in to give you a sense of like where you are now, like what kind of world you're living in. The Empire's fallen, and the money's not worth what it was. And then you meet Werner Herzog's character, who is this somehow connected to the Empire because he's got the Imperial medallion on him. He's got stormtroopers that are use, I guess, his security detail. You're not really sure who he is. He's mysterious, but he's a great character, and I really like him so far. I hope he stays in more of this story. I think if you're going to get a guy like Werner Herzog, you are going to use him as much as you can, and I'm all for that because he's a good character. And he gives the Mandalorian his next assignment, his next job, and it's to find this... it's just basically like a tracking beacon to find this bounty, and he knows nothing about it. Although he says something interesting. He says, all I can tell you is, they're 50 years old. Whoever you're finding, whoever you're after is 50 years old, which is nice. Later when you find out who it is, it makes sense. But that's a pretty cool little detail as well that they threw in there. And his character's good. It's mysterious. And the other main thing about this scene is he gives him a piece of Beskar, which is the Mandalorian armor, which is like impenetrable. It can even reduce the effects of a lightsaber hitting it. So that's his fee, is this Beskar, which he then goes to this bounty hunter. It's hard to say who this person is. It's a female character, bounty hunter type leader or boss, also in like a Mandalorian helmet. So we're not sure who this is, but she takes the Beskar and creates a shoulder pad for him. So it's something that's very valuable. I get the feeling like little by little he's going to collect pieces of this to create his brand new armor, which I'm sure like maybe halfway through the season or at some point we'll see him in full Mandalorian glory. And call me crazy, but this character, there's something about this female Mandalorian character that kind of reminds me of Captain Phasma. I don't know, the voice, the stature, she's very tall. I don't know if they're going to tie this in. They probably won't, but I'm just speculating. Something about it reminds me of Captain Phasma. I don't know. If they're trying to retcon her character and make her like cool, give her a backstory, why she's supposedly so cool in the sequel trilogy, I don't know, but something about it just reminded me of her. I don't know. Let me know if you guys got that feeling at all. As the armor's melting, you get a little flashback scene of the Mandalorian. He's kind of getting these flashback visions of his childhood, I am guessing, where he's on a war-torn planet. You see battle droids coming after him, so this is like tied into the prequels. And he's, I guess, escaping with his parents or something. They get him on a ship and send him away. And And so you're getting a little backstory to the Mandalorian's past, just a little bit from his childhood, but he's getting these flashbacks as his armor's being melted to be forged onto his shoulder. And then you meet Coil, the Ugnaught friend of the Mandalorian. Well, he becomes a friend of the Mandalorian. He saves him from the Blurgs, which are these two-footed kind of dinosaur-looking creatures. They were in the Clone Wars before, so we have seen them in animated, but now we've seen them in live action. And this Coil Ugnaught, played by Nick Nolte, saves him from being, I don't know, devoured, I guess, by the Blurgs. And then tells him he's going to help him find his bounty, that there's been others who have come before, and he's helped them, but they've all died. So whoever this bounty is, whatever it is has been sought after before unsuccessfully. So he says he's going to help. So you have this nice little montage where you see the Mandalorian like failing. He can't learn to ride. He's having trouble learning to ride this thing. You see that he's struggling. The Mandalorian seems so far like a guy he's not a bad guy. He's not a good guy. He's just kind of trying to make a living. You don't mess with him, don't cross him. But he's a likable character so far. He doesn't say a lot, which is good. He remains mysterious. They even comment that the Mandalorians, are known to not take off their mask, and he doesn't take off his mask. And I don't know if that's a little kind of dig to Rian Johnson for and J.J. Abrams for taking off Kylo Ren's mask. I don't know. That's just me speculating. But it is nice that they're keeping true to the character of the Mandalorian. He's mysterious. And then you meet the IG assassin droid, or I guess bounty droid, and it's cool to see this thing in live action in all its glory. This is like the IG-88 from Empire Strikes Back, different model, but the same droid. And man, is it bad. I would not want to mess with this thing. It just takes out half of this gang. The Mandalorian finally gets to this point, this little encampment that he's looking for, and sees that there's a bounty droid that's already there, and he jumps down in the town, and they kind of join forces. There's this great shootout that happens where they take out all these guys together. At one point, the Mandalorian jumps on this Gatling gun and just wrecks the town, and the music's great. It's a really great scene, and I'm thinking, okay, they've kind of built a little friend here for the Mandalorian. They team up. They agree to split the bounty because they found out they're both, I guess, hired for the same bounty, and they agree, okay, well, let's partner up here to get out of this situation. We're surrounded. Let's take all these guys out, combine forces, and we'll split the bounty. And it seems like a good plan, and so they go with it. And then comes the big reveal cliffhanger of the episode, and possibly one of, the biggest mysteries of Star Wars right now. The Mandalorian and this IG bounty hunter droid come up. They enter into the building, and they see a cradle that's floating there. And they walk up to it, and you see a shot from behind, and you see these two ears, and immediately this is whatever Yoda's species is. This is a baby version of Yoda's species. Because Yoda's supposed to be the only one. It's so mysterious. You don't know who, what really species Yoda is. And they kept true to that in the EU as well. And it's still a mystery. Other than Yaddle from the Phantom Menace, where they removed Yaddle, even though she was originally in the first version of Phantom Menace. They have then taken her out. But so you come across a little baby version of Yoda, and that's how the episode ends. And then the Mandalorian, because the assignment that IG was given was to destroy the little Yoda. Mandalorian decides to shoot and destroy the IG unit. So there goes the partnership. I thought that was nice. They kind of build this up maybe something's going to go. Nope. Gone. And shoots IG. And the last scene is the Mandalorian reaching down with a finger and the little baby Yoda reaching up with his hand to grab it. And then it cuts the episode right there. So I think I have mixed feelings about this, because it's whoa, that's a big moment. But that means a lot to Star Wars. This really kind of does sort of change things. I hope they don't ruin Yoda's mystery and the mystery of Yoda. I hope wherever they go with this, it leaves a lot, right? It leaves a lot of kind of interest, mystery, and excitement. But I'm also worried that they don't ruin Yoda's character and Yoda's species, because you introduce something like this, you know, you don't. I don't want this to lead to another legacy character being destroyed. But I have, so far from everything I've seen, I have faith that they're going to do a good job. This was Dave Filoni's first directorial debut for live action, and I think he did a freaking knockout job. And I want him to be president of Lucasfilm, basically. So I know there's mixed feelings within some of the community about that, but from what I've seen here, you know, I'm gonna go with it. I think he did a great job, and I'm interested in seeing where they're gonna take this whole, you know, Yoda species thing. So we'll see. I'm excited though so far. I think they're doing a good job, and maybe trying to get. I'm more excited about this now than I am with the episode 9. Like I see this and I'm like, see, they can do it. They can make it good. Why couldn't they do that with the sequel trilogy? Because these guys weren't involved. It wasn't Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau that were, you know, they should have been in charge of the sequel trilogy. And also they had Lucas in helping them out with this, so that also gives me hope that Lucas was on, you know, they brought him in on set to guide them in this story. So, all right, guys, let me know what you think of the episode 1 so far. If you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, well, I guess I just spoiled it all for you. So go watch it and then come back and leave a comment. Tell me what you think of the episode. Are you excited and where it's going? All right, till next time, lock the doors and hope they don't have blasters.